Welcome everybody to Matt Mark's podcast, episode 3 back, I guess. I don't know what episode is fucking every other day, but 3 back, I feel like.
Yeah, three after our hiatus.
I am Dog by Harris, and here is with me is my we are tired. I'm tired anyways. My I was giving you shit earlier for bailing out last night, but now I can barely talk. Maybe I should have bailed out. Timothy Cutter.
We gotta suck it up and get through, I guess.
Yeah, no, we'll get it. I don't know. It's always fun to talk about wrestling. Like I said, I wanted to do an episode, and mainly because there's some shit to talk about. So, I mean, essentially, right. I'll just be honest with everybody. My TV's shut off right now. I'm so fucking broke. So, I haven't got a chance to watch a lot of shit. I've been following on the sheets, as they would say.
Right.
So, let's talk about Revolution. At least I got that right this time.
Yeah, there you go. You got at least got the pay-per-view's name right. Great show. I mean, top to bottom, the pre-show, the buy-in, whatever they call it, all the way to the main event. Great show, but it was a lot of wrestling. It was 5+ hours. So I'm not gonna lie, the co-main event and the main event, as fun of matches as they were, I was kind of like looking at my phone, being like, shit, I've been watching this since 4:00 and it's damn near 9:00 now. It was it was a lot of wrestling. I mean, I kind of got to get used to that point, because that's just that time of the year where we're going to have, what's that, 47 days of WrestleMania, so it should be
next year they're going to go for 300.
Get trained.
Next year they're going for 367 days of WrestleMania. Exactly.
Somehow they added 2 days on the calendar.
Oh fuck, man. Yeah,
you want to. Go ahead.
I'm just not excited for it this year at all, man. Like,
it's just like we always, bitched about on to one another. We bitched about a couple different times on here. They don't do anything to move the needle outside of 2 guys. I mean, it's the Brock and Roman show, and everybody else is just living in it, kind of thing.
Yeah, man, and. It's just really time for them to focus on some newer talent. I mean, like, fuck, they don't even use Orton anymore, and it's just ridiculous how little they seem to care about their young talent,
Yeah, it makes you wonder.
I feel like, I don't know, I feel like some shit's happening for the better, and maybe I mean, I really do feel like the roster cuts might have been for the best, but I feel like AEW is kind of having the same problem WWE has now because, Khan has kind of played Captain Save-A-Ho and picked up a lot of those talents. Some I probably wouldn't have,
Well, purchasing a Ring of Honor is going to be his way to funnel that talent to a different organization because nobody, I don't believe anybody's contracts got retained past April 1st, and they're not going to have their first show back until April 3rd or something like that. So everybody that's going to be in Ring of Honor is basically is going to be brand new, or at least have brand new contracts.
Okay, before we dive too much into that, let's talk about Revolution some more because we're already getting sideballed. What were some of the best matches you think?
House of Black was great. Hook and QT was great. They showed a lot that, like, how much Hook has evolved. I mean, evolved in his 8 matches or whatever. That every match he's dominated. Where he's gone in there with a decent guy who can take a bump and just thrown him around, did his thing, looked tough, and got out of there. But this QT got some offense in, and we got to see that. Oh, Hook can bump too, and he actually looks like he's. I mean, how much it's ingrained in his blood, probably from his dad and what other martial arts, stuff he's done in the past. But it was kind of cool to see, a guy that we haven't seen take some bumps.
Yeah. I still just can't get behind this kid right now. I
wish he wasn't 180 pounds. I wish he was 220 pounds.
He's cut. He's cut and he looks good, but like,
but he can't, nobody's going to take him serious against Keith Lee.
No,
I'm not going to take him.
I don't take
a 180 pound kid against. I mean, even it looked convincing when he wrestled Bear Boulder or Bear Bronson, whichever one of the dudes from Bear Country a couple weeks ago in a singles match. But that's because that's not a high profile guy. Keith Lee, is a higher profile guy. So I just never could see them in a main event, program together ever. There's no way to convince me right now.
Well, yeah, and if you ask me, I mean, Starks and Hobbs should be getting that shine right now, man. They're both two talents that are severely underused, underappreciated, and then you got this kid.
I don't think they're underused or underappreciated because they're on TV quite often. They're just not being used to their fullest extent because Team Taz is always being featured on commentary stuff, but it may be in the ring. I 100% agree with you, but they're getting the exposure. They're just not doing anything with them.
Well, and if you want me to be honest, man, I think Team Taz is probably one of the best factions on AEW.
Oh, I agree.
So they should be featured more. They should be pushed into, belt status, in some way. But
what do you do? You got Ricky with the fuck the world FTW belt, that Taz created back in ECW. You got Hobbs and Hook. It's like, do you form a tag team and you go that way, or do you let them go individual gold, or like those are three guys that I don't know how you would book their group, but they're three guys that I really like. But I just don't know what you do with them.
One thing I thought was going to happen, and I don't think it's going to now because of where they're taking Team Taz. But I kind of thought they were going to let them start a feud with Danhausen, because Danhausen put the curse on Starks in that ladder match.
Right.
So I thought they were going to be like, nah, bitch. They should probably be like, nah, bitch. We're not into your fucking bullshit. We're gonna fuck you up now.
But are they doing the Team Taz booking like they've been doing the Pac booking, where they're gonna book 3 storylines they can choose from? I've always thought that was weird booking because they did that with like I said, the Ricky Starks, that stuff, and then who else did he curse? He cursed somebody else recently that wasn't a part of Team Taz. It's drawn a blank on me, but he's cursed another group, and it's just because that was the problem. I remember you had a big bitch fit about what are they doing with Pac? First he was supposed to wrestle Penta, then he was supposed to wrestle Kenny, and then he was supposed to wrestle so and so, and then you just didn't know what the hell to do with him. And I feel like that's kind of what they're doing with Danhausen, even though he physically can't compete yet. They're just booking him in choose your own adventure book, kind of.
Yeah, I guess maybe that's what they should do, I guess. But at some point,
but it's weird booking. It's really weird booking because it doesn't make any sense. And that's a lot of what people bitch about. Or AEW storytelling doesn't make any fucking sense.
Unless they're going to, no shit. I could say that about AEW way more so, probably, it's just I think the difference, before I go back into Danhausen, between you saying that is the stories that AEW book that are good and are followed through on. They're way better than anything WWE has going right now, in my opinion.
Correct.
But and WWE has the same problem with just dropping storylines, not following through with shit. So, but I think AEW is probably a little worse. I think they've gotten better since the beginning because I think they just know that was a huge flaw of theirs and people were getting kind of sick of it,
Right.
But, and then the pandemic didn't help. You had wrestlers getting stuck in fucking foreign countries and not being able to come back, so.
Right.
But back to the Danhausen thing. I mean, maybe that's the role they should put him in. They should maybe just do a thing where he's not taken super seriously, or unless they're going to let him go, let him go full force, because we already got one Orange Cassidy. I don't think we need two, so maybe they should just let him do his thing and be funny. I think he'd be good in interviews and backstage segments and shit like that. And they guess they've given him a spot on their channel to do a YouTube show, which I don't know if they're just bringing that over from what he's been doing or if they're just giving him a new platform. But the stuff he does on YouTube is gold. So,
I know he was the first guest, but is he actually a part of the show? Because I thought RJ City was the host. And is Danhausen like the co-host or because I haven't watched the first episode yet.
I haven't either, man. I thought on the thing I read, it said he's got his own show. So maybe he is just the co-host though.
Because the new it's called AEW Hey You or something like that, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
no,
so
well, actually, I don't know. I didn't read that far into it. So, but
okay.
Let's talk about this a little bit.
Yeah, all I know is that it was just it's a YouTube series that RJ City is hosting, and then I think somehow Danhausen has hitched a ride on it. And RJ City and Danhausen, they're both New York guys originally, so they have done a bunch of stuff on the Indies together. They're buddies with Envy, who we've interviewed in the past, and they're all kind of a New York clique or whatever. So they're just gonna do dumb shit like they've done on their YouTube channels, but now for AEW, from what it reads like.
Well, I think, and I mentioned this on the last show. I think that's where Tony Khan is really smart. And WWE probably isn't quite as smart because Tony Khan recognizes the importance to content now.
Oh yeah,
fucking the TikToks and YouTubes and shit. These little shows that are picking up a lot of steam. That's where the old school guys, they don't get it. They don't understand. There's a disconnect there with new fans and old fans. And I think that's where Tony Khan's really smart. And that's how he's going to help stay relevant in this whole thing, is because he's just got those new fans, But yeah, anyways, I had a realization the other day. So I tested your WWE, what do you call them? Drones?
E-drones. Yeah.
I tested your theory the other day, and I got an interesting result. And it's not a result that I feel like can really be used in every situation, but it did kind of give me a bit of like an awakening a bit. So like, how you're always talking about how there's these guys that just think that WWE can't do any wrong and AEW is just like the shit.
Yeah, everything they do is garbage. Yeah.
So you remember how I told you that when I go to the gym, there's this dude that works there. It's got like every Roman shirt. I finally decided to try to talk to him.
Okay.
And the results were really weird because I got about 2 sentences out of him before I was like, something's wrong with this guy.
Like he's handicapped or
like he's autistic or something.
Okay. I gotcha.
So, and I'd watched him walk around and he's like, I don't know, he's got the vibe, and this is going to sound really shitty, but I don't mean it in a mean way. I just mean it like we kind of all had these kids in school that probably got a lot of shit. They're maybe weren't retarded, but had some learning disabilities. They're in kind of like the special math classes and stuff like that, And
well, I mean, we grew up in a different time where we didn't know we didn't know what the fuck autism was. So I bet
there's probably 100 people autistic in our school, and everybody's thought they're stupid.
We had no fucking idea, but that was
20,
and I don't know 25 years ago,
or just a little slow or something. But I'm pretty sure that's the case, and that's where I kind of had this realization, like. Maybe that's where WWE, because when you look at it, dude, WWE still beating AEW in the ratings. There are still plenty of people that think the product is better than AEW.
A plus. Yeah, no, I get it.
But we talked about this in the past where, you're like, it's just a lot of kids with their dads that are really making the WWE boat float. And I think that you're probably right. And maybe that's where the product's at. And that's where the disconnect with AEW. So I guess what I'm kind of getting at is maybe AEW is meant more for like an adult, old school fan wrestler. And WWE is meant more for like kids and special need people and those parents, And that's why they're so popular, because there's way more money in kids than adults,
What the kind of the conclusion I've come to, through all this, I'm gonna grant I'm always gonna bitch about e-drones because that's just what I do.
Hold on.
But
I had this epiphany that you're probably just arguing with autistic or retarded kids online.
That's so
and you can't see them, so you just think that you know that they're normal people.
Just a fucking prick, right?
That's the only way I can rationalize anybody thinking the WWE product is better. Either that or it's like kids Landon's age on there. But even Landon probably thinks AEW is better.
Sorry, I got the coughs. Yeah, I mean, Landon's got a buddy that he's really tight with that's from Australia. That's a huge WWE fan, and he's the same sort of way. Where I think I've come to the conclusion that AEW fans are the hardcore fans, WWE fans are the casual fans. but back to Landon's buddy that in Australia, he's like, WWE did all this great stuff, and Landon's like, oh my god, dude, we must not be watching the same product at all, because Landon's like, I feel like a quarter of the way you feel about all this shit that you're uber passionate about with this WWE storyline or that WWE storyline. It's just like just a different breed of fan,
Yeah, but I think there's
most WWE fans have never been to indie shows.
Yeah,
and and then, like I said, they're the casual fan. We're the marks. We're the hardcore fans, and we just have a different outcome on what we think wrestling should be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I'm wondering, maybe it's not such a great business move for WWE to really try to compete with AEW and just continue doing what they're doing, because like I said, they're doing something right. They're beating AEW in the ratings, and I feel like AEW has been on the air for long enough now that if they were going to provide a product that would just stomp Vince McMahon's ass, like just stomp it, they would be well on their way to doing it. And they're doing significantly better than when they started. But I don't feel like they're gonna like win any fucking rating wars anytime soon. It's not like
it's just different wrestling, and I think that's kind of, I came to that epiphany the other day. It's like it's just different wrestling. It's like
sucks,
the
though. The
ECW crowd from the mid '90s. It's just a different wrestling crowd.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, except WWE was good then.
Yeah, but they still shit on WWE. The ECW hardcore still shit on WWE.
Yeah,
and of course WWE shit on the fucking the extreme wrestlers or the extreme crowd. Mainly
most
the crowd.
Traditionalist period shit on ECW. I know, like Ric Flair and Mick Foley's got a huge beef forever because fucking Ric Flair like blames Foley for all these guys ending their career, or because a lot of people like hone in their craft to be wrestlers, and then you get some guys that are just stuntmen that are willing to cut themselves and bleed that got famous, and it really put a lot of pressure on people that were like really traditionalist wrestlers and really honed in their craft and worked hard, because then they're like, no, we want you to bleed a fucking gallon of blood out. And they're like, what? Like, if we do this every night, it's going to get boring. And sure as shit, it did, like, I think AEW gets color a little too much these days, in my opinion, just a smidge, but
I'm still, a hardcore wrestler, at heart. So whenever they get color, I'm always like, yeah. So I'm still giddy for it, but not. I
do too, but I just feel like it's really predictable, and maybe it's just the fact that we know what's going on now. So you're like, oh, that guy's blading, you can see it,
right?
And we're not
like you saw Punk blade himself pretty easily at freaking Revolution.
He got himself good, man, and he probably.
It was just one quick jab that he did, and yeah, he got himself good.
Yeah, I think he got himself a little worse the week before. I think that might have been an accident almost.
Yeah, I didn't see the blading on TV that night, but yeah, like I said, Revolution, you saw, I don't know, but it was like he was in a seated position and he just kind of like did that number, and it's like, bro, you didn't even hide it.
No shit, like come on, and that's Punk too. He's kind of a mix between the best of both worlds,
Right.
But yeah, speaking of Punk, where do you think they take this shit? Because they should probably do a best 2 out of 3 match, but you've got Wardlow telling MJF.
No, I think with the Pinnacle breaking up, I think Punk and MJF are done for now. And Punk recently in an interview made some comment about Now he thinks it's his time that he should maybe go after the world title. So now that Brian and John have formed a team, I think they're going to do a team where they're going to recruit youngsters, but I think Punk's going to move on and he's going to challenge Hangman next. That's my thoughts.
You think they'll give him the belt, or you think they're just going to make him put over Hangman?
It's too early to tell. We gotta watch the build, I think.
Yeah, it's hard.
The build always makes me lean one way or the other.
The title, the AEW title with me is really a tricky, finicky thing because I've never been super impressed with any of the title runs.
No, you really haven't, right?
It's been Jericho
in great people's hands, but it's been very kind of mundane and just kind of whatever.
I mean, Jericho had a few, and then him and Moxley had a good feud, but then Mox had it, and it was fucking just like Mox and WWE when he was Ambrose and had it. I was just like, I don't know, man.
And even with Kenny, even though it's still showcased, it just never. They've put so much emphasis behind the notoriety of the TNT title that I think it's actually kind of outweighed the world title.
Yeah. And then you're probably right. I never thought of that.
I was gonna say, and now Hangman doesn't get quite the pops that Hangman used to.
No, something happened. Well, they buried his fucking ass for a year and a half.
Yeah. And then they finally put the title on him.
They should have given the title out the gate because he was way more over. But I do like him as the champion. I think he's probably my favorite. Kenny had some real high marks for me too.
Right.
Because I really like him and Don Callis together for whatever reason.
Callis is great.
So I really dig that duo, and they've had some really good moments where they were just talking and building good stories,
Right.
And then Hangman and Bryan Danielson's feud was really good. So he's had a couple good ones, I really wish they'd stop throwing Archer in the fucking mix just to fucking kill time, but it is what it is.
So that was something I was gonna ask, what is the quote unquote world title kind of crew, who's the 10 guys that you think are legit world title guys, not the one-offs, but the guys you'll see win it 2 or 3 times in their career, with the company. I don't know outside of, kind of the guys who have held it. Christian Cage because of the name, Keith Lee, maybe, Punk and Danielson, obviously. And then it's beyond that, who is there?
Yeah. And he also said multiple times too, right?
Yeah.
So, well, that made me think Bryan Danielson, I'm not sure. Who knows how much he's got in his tank? He's injury prone. He's getting old. I'd like to see him hold it for a good while and make it relevant, a good title.
So at least once.
Same with Punk. I want to see him hold it once, but they're saying
once, right?
He doesn't really even care about winning it, really, which would be cool. He could be like the Piper of AEW,
Right. I guess MJF. I forgot about throwing MJF.
Oh yeah, he'll be a multiple title holder for sure if he sticks around. If WWE doesn't poach him, but I think that's all just a work because I think MJF knows that if he goes to WWE, he's not going to be MJF.
He's gonna get watered down. Yeah, he's gonna get watered down significantly. Yeah. I mean, he's even a little watered down from the Indies, but he's able to twist and manipulate and make it work.
But they might give it back to Jericho. Jericho's got in really great shape. I ate my words on that. Like I was talking about, I'm talking shit. He got in shape in a month too. So kudos to Jericho, man.
Yeah, right. I think it was because there was an article that came out that everybody was blasting him about being fat.
I mean, people have been blasting him for a month or so, 2 months. He looked like shit, dude. You could tell he'd been on fucking tour with Fozzy, just drinking Budweiser and fucking burritos every day,
Right.
Really indulging in the tour life, just on the bus chilling. And if somebody, I mean, tour life sucks, man. You don't have time to work out or do shit. And plus he likes to party. So if he's partying, he needs to work out, so he probably just wasn't doing a shit. And when you're fit like that, and when you work out every day, it doesn't take long to get fucking shitty like that, but it also doesn't take long to get back in shape. As you can see, he did it in a month.
Right.
And he's cut like a bitch, man. He's good. So I kind of ate my words on that. But I mean, I could see him giving it to Jericho again now too, especially now that he's heel again. And Jericho's always kind of over, and he helped build the company, you know.
Right. But I mean, I keep looking at like the guys that were at Revolution. I'm like, do I see, Jungle Boy, Sammy Guevara? Do I see them as legit world title guys at the moment?
Not really.
Darby. I don't think I see any of those. The pillars outside of MJF. I don't see any of the. I don't see the other three pillars as world title guys.
And I'll tell you something, man. If Darby keeps going the way he does, he's not going to have a long career. He needs to slow the fuck down, man. He's not going to have a long career the way he's going, and that would suck because Darby's good, man. And I want to see him around for a long time.
Outside him being, kind of reckless, controlled reckless, whatever the hell you want to call it. But do you ever see him being, 175-pound Darby Allin? Do you ever see him being a world title guy?
I mean, eventually, yeah, if he stays there, I think he could be because he's so over, and he's so good at being convincing that he's an ass kicker, even though he's small. He's like got that Rey Mysterio thing going. There's little guys.
He'll just be a Rey Mysterio 2.0.
There's little guys that have that shine and that, and I think it's probably because we all know one. Like we've all went to school with that little guy that could kick the shit out of the big guy, and we know it. The guy that's tough because he's been down some fucking shitty life, fucking traumas, and had his ass kicked.
I remember as a kid on the football team that was way undersized playing nose tackle. And yeah, he was very dominant at that position.
Yeah, the kid in our class that was the toughest and always willing to fucking go down was my best friend at the time, Tony Looney. He was the smallest kid in the class, I pulled four kids off of him once, and he got pissed off at me for stepping in, So there's always a little guy like that can fuck somebody up, at any given time. And I think Darby's got that shine. I don't fucking buy it with Sammy, but and I don't buy it with Jungle Boy. But I'll tell you the three things these guys have. I don't know. I thought Sammy was younger than he is, so that sucks.
You talking the pillars or the three other pillars?
No, the three. Yeah. Sammy and Darby. Okay, so those guys, I see making a serious attempt to bulk up a bit and grow as wrestlers in general. So I think any one of the three could be world champs at some point in time. I think if you look back and you think about, let me think of who.
But do they have to put on 20 pounds to be convincing?
Shawn Michaels looked small when he first started. There's a lot of guys that look small.
Yeah, but when he was winning the world title, he was at least 220. At least on paper, he was 220. And then might have really been like 210, but
for some reason, people are still fucking convinced Adam Cole can be a fucking title, and he's not any bigger than any one of those three guys.
He's like billed at 190 pounds or 193 pounds, something like that.
I think where Tony Khan is going to get this is that he's got a roster of smaller dudes, so it's not that important, Unfortunately, you put a guy like Wardlow in with those guys, and they look like monsters, or Lance. It's like you either got the strongest little guys in the world or the biggest pussies in the world in your organization. So, what do you feel? You feel like they're gonna? I would think before. Okay, so never mind. I think what I was going to say is I thought you said MJF was going to go for the world title, but you said Punk is, right?
That's what I think.
Okay.
I know MJF has also made reference, but him losing against Punk, I don't think it makes sense that he would go for it as opposed to Punk going for it.
Yeah. So yeah, they're probably going to hang back and probably feud with Wardlow a bit.
So Wardlow has Scorpio Sky next weekend or 2 weeks from now. I'm sorry, at St. Patty's Day Bash or whatever.
They're doing it that quick
for the TNT title. Yeah.
God.
So it's like, is it a transition? Was Scorpio a transitional champ? Are they going to give it to Wardlow? Like, I don't know. Like,
that's what I hate.
Like that?
They can
so quick.
Jesus Christ! Like, make a good, solid fucking fight out of everybody.
Right.
That's how you're going to see who has the cojones Yeah, that's how you're gonna find that. That's how you're gonna find the diamond in the rough is by letting
when
it happen.
they're gonna step up, and let
Yeah,
them build a story.
they should have MJF try to fuck him a bunch out of that before he even uses it, in my opinion.
Yeah, then that would be great, and then fucking start an MJF Wardlow thing where he's still hiding behind Spears, and then Spears eventually bails on Max, and
they
then blah blah blah.
They can carry that on for a while, like let Wardlow win the TNT belt, and then have Max keep going at it. For the TNT belt, maybe get it, maybe have him. And here's something that doesn't happen very often either, because
what would have been, even if they give it to Wardlow, what was the point of having Sammy drop it to Scorpio, other than now with Paige Van Zant joining AEW, so another MMA chick, Ty Conti and Paige Van Zant going at it, and maybe
that's kind of a big sign too, because aside from Ronda, Paige Van Zant is probably the hottest UFC fucking women's fighter. That's
she's up there in the top 5, I would imagine.
Yeah, and she's hot as shit.
She hasn't. Yeah, she's an Oregon gal too.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. She's hotter.
Yeah, she's from Dundee,
and
she's out my way.
I don't know if I've ever seen her fight or wrestle, but everybody's raving, saying that she's pretty damn good in the ring. So
she's very, very good in the octagon. She just hasn't fought in 2 years because of the pandemic and shit.
No, I mean in the wrestling ring though. How's she in the wrestling?
She hasn't done much. She's done a little punch here, a little punch there, but nothing takedown wise or anything that I've seen.
Okay, but yeah, I think that's a good signing. Kind of gives them some more relevance in the women's division, which they need badly.
Right.
Dr. Britt Baker can't fucking carry that shit on her shoulders forever, and they're not utilizing the good people they have. Like, why the fuck aren't they using fucking Ruby Riot? Ruby Riot's good, man. They got a few good ones, man. Like I told you, I'm really impressed with Bunny as of late too, man.
Right.
So it is kind of cool to watch these girls block.
Yeah, and I was gonna say probably the worst match of Revolution.
Oh, sorry. I think there's a lag in the feed, buddy. But I mean, I think.
Yeah, I was noticing that.
I think the. Oh fuck! I forgot what I was gonna say. Oh, but it's been kind of cool to watch because we've always kind of shat on the women's division for AEW, but a lot of them are growing into be pretty good wrestlers, and I think that's kind of cool because they all kind of started out as not all that great, Ah, shit! Did I lose you?
Got it.
Fuck. All right, but like I was saying, sorry we're having technical difficulties. It's not a Matt Marks podcast. We don't have those. But like I was saying, it's been really fun to watch like the women's division with AEW actually evolve into something, because they were all really shitty at first, and a lot of them still are, but you got a few that are really developing into being decent women's wrestlers, But yeah, it's been cool watching that, I guess.
Right. So somehow we'll get that point out.
People are like, fuck, spit it out, dude. You said it 4 times. We don't care.
Sorry, we're stupid and our electronics are going dumb on us too. But what I was going to say is Thunder and Britt Baker was actually probably the worst match of the night. And it was, it didn't have the same pizzazz as that unsanctioned, street fight did where Britt got all busted open and shit. But it was like I said, it was kind of the meh. It was the piss breaker, the popcorn match for sure. But overall it's gonna, I know we keep getting talking in circles, but yeah, Revolution overall was it's a pretty darn good event. I was pretty pleased with it.
Yeah, and then you got Regal, man. I'm excited to see what Regal does, man. He's one of the greatest of all time, in my opinion, in his own right, too. Like, there's not another William Regal on the planet or anybody to even compare him to.
One of those guys that you're always like, should have been a world title guy, but just there was something about, giving that guy the push that never happened. But it was like so deserving of a world title push after the fact. Now, you're sitting here thinking about it, like he should have, He should have been the bad guy and held on the title for a long time and stretched everybody and just, it's just been a good old school type of villain.
Yeah, I probably watched that footage of him stretching Goldberg 100 fucking times. I love it.
Right. But that was the octopus stretch one.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, I know. I know that was very iconic, image or whatever. Him put him in the octopus stretch.
Yeah, he wasn't even supposed to get any offense on him, and fucking William Regal just fucking stretched the fuck out of Goldberg.
Yeah.
He made him earn every inch of that win. Like he didn't pull a dick move and beat him or make him look
didn't pull a hardcore Holly.
Yeah.
Didn't they beat the shit out of that MMA guy at Royal Rumble, Hardcore Holly, Steve Blackman, and fuck, I don't remember who the third was.
I don't think it was an MMA guy. Wasn't it the guy that fucking?
It was from the Tough Enough series.
Yeah.
But he was an MMA guy.
Oh, he was, because he's the guy that stretched Kurt Angle on the show
exactly.
And pissed all these guys off, and they fucked him up. What is that guy's name? It's been a hot topic lately. Yeah. I guess it doesn't matter, but yeah, they fucking beat the shit out of him. The poor guy too, man. I kind of feel bad,
Right. So, we got to touch on the big news that happened Friday night. I know we haven't discussed it at all because we've been trying to play catch up from the week prior, but with Big E suffering his broken neck on SmackDown television.
That sucks, man.
Sheamus's lackey, Ridge Holland, former NXT, former rugby player, Aussie. It's a pretty gnarly looking, belly to belly overhead suplex. And I said something to you earlier today about, or maybe it was yesterday about, this isn't the first time he's done that, where he did it to Gargano as well when they were in NXT, but Gargano didn't get as fucked up because, he'd landed ever so slightly different. But this was Ridge Holland's first time doing this.
Gargano's like 150 pounds. That's what I was just going to say. Is a guy that was a little smaller would probably take that okay, and it would just be a botch, maybe a headache and a small concussion. But Big E's so big and so heavy,
285-pound man or whatever,
a solid fucking muscle too, man. And it was so awkward looking. You knew something was gonna get fucked, And it's sad, man, because I've always felt like Big E, and Big E's underused, but Xavier Woods is extremely fucking underused. I'd like to see him in AEW someday.
As individuals, because as a tag team, as a trio, they've been
probably a little overused. They're probably overused as a trio.
But as individuals, no, I totally agree with you. They've always shined as the trio.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, because they're good merch sellers. That's why Benny loves them. But
they're fun, and they're fun. They're goofy WWE fun. Well, what I mean?
They broke the mold though. Those dumb shits wanted them to be like a Nation of Dominations, like revival thing, and they were all kind of like fuck you. It ended up everybody kind of dogged on them, so it ended up they started fucking around and doing stupid shit and having fun because they're like, fuck it, we're all probably gonna be fired in a month anyways, and it got over.
Yeah, because originally they were like a Baptist church.
Yeah,
that was their original.
Yeah, that was the first vignette I saw. Was they're in a Baptist church singing gospel songs.
Yeah, like they were, bad guys in that aspect.
Yeah,
like follow our ways. Our ways are the ways, kind of thing. And yeah, that didn't get over, but the goofy shit definitely got over.
Yeah, man. So, but yeah, it's just sad, dude. And that kid is breaking necks. He needs to go back down to the fucking training camp, man. And they probably should cut his ass for a while.
Well, the shitty part is he's not even a kid. He's like in his mid-30s because he's a former rugby guy. So he didn't come into WWE until he was in his late 20s, early 30s. Good.
So this is what you get when you fucking decide that rugby players and ex-football players and Olympic swimmers and whatever MMA fighters can come in and just be good at this, and a lot of times you can, when you're an athlete, it's easier for you to put those things together easily, but sometimes you just don't have it. So don't fucking try, it's natural. Like you get a Kurt Angle or a Brock or a fucking Kurt Hennig or any of that shit. Those guys that were naturals, but
Ronda Rousey, female.
I don't need to see fucking, I don't need to see Rob Gronkowski, fuck you. I don't need to see Mojo Nixon. I don't even need to see Baron Corbin, fuck you.
Right.
It's bad. Just because Roman Reigns was a good football player and The Rock was a good football player doesn't mean every fucking washed up NFL fucking star needs a fucking WrestleMania moment. It doesn't need to happen.
The only one is Baron. I'm kind of wishy washy because he is a Golden Glove boxer, where it's like, he does no combat sports. So I'm like,
I forget that too. And Baron's got his moments too. I really love Baron in NXT, but they kind of fucking shit on him when he came up to the main roster, you know?
Yeah, the Lone Wolf thing was good. This Happy Corbin thing is corny, but like
it's getting over though.
It kind of fits him, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of getting over. But yeah, I don't know, man.
Because I wasn't sure. Is he supposed to be like some Cuban playboy, or is he like former,
I don't know,
Golden Glove guy?
But back to the dude that broke Biggie's neck. They just need to cut that fool, man. He's got no business.
Yeah, Ridge Holland.
They probably should have practiced that on a crash pad. I don't know if they did or not.
Right.
They probably should have practiced it before to see if that dipshit could hold Biggie's weight without dropping him on his fucking beam, you know?
Right.
Because that sucks because he potentially ruined a great wrestler's fucking,
potentially, career ending.
Yeah, it could be, man. That sucks because Biggie's like really loved in the locker room, man, and he's really loved by the kids. He's really loved by anybody who's around him.
Yeah, he's loved by the universe as a whole. The WWE universe.
Yeah, and I think honestly, man, I would love to see a lot of I'd like to see. I think Xavier Woods will probably die in WWE, or not Xavier Woods, but Kofi will probably die in WWE. But I'd really love to see Kofi and Big E go to someplace else for a while just to see him something. Especially Xavier.
I'd love to see Kofi and Big E. I think they would be a fucking treat in New Japan of all places. It would be so bizarre but so entertaining. I think at the same time.
I bet, yeah. Because
if they kept the New Day shtick and they did that kind of, because that hip thrusting that Big E does, it always kind of makes me feel uncomfortable. Like,
yeah, totally.
like I don't like this being on WWE TV. It makes me feel uncomfortable.
No, it totally does, man. It totally does. And that,
I think that would be hilarious in Japan.
This is I don't know, this will probably get me canceled, but someplace there's like 200 chubby white ladies that are just getting moist over
for sure. Most definitely. They're like, give me that piece of chocolate.
Come here, Big Daddy. Get in there.
But we're not kidding around. The reality is probably more than likely.
Well, no, fuck, live in the inner city for a minute, folks. You'll know it's true.
Yeah, right.
And most dudes like Biggie love to accompany those women, likes to accommodate those women too. And that's why
right.
I mean, I wish some hot black chicks would be into fucking fat white guys because I'd go down that road.
Right.
But there's been multiple times where I'm in like 7-Eleven, or I'd be working at 7-Eleven. These good-looking young black dudes are just with these fucking wildebeests of older women, dude. I'm like, what are you doing, guy? Like, you could be banging some hot pussy, and you got this lady.
Do they even look like? Do they even look like they could be baby mamas? I mean, not baby mamas, but sugar mamas?
I don't know. No, they look like old crackheads with fucking 8 kids. Like, I don't know. Maybe they got a welfare check or something. Like
that, or they just give them sloppy toffee, like on the bus or whatever. They don't.
I don't know. But for me, I'm just like, that shit's got to stink. Like that pussy's got to stink. Like,
right.
I don't get it, man. Like, I'll go a lot of places, but if I think it stinks, I'm out.
Right.
Like,
I love how our wrestling podcast turned into this.
Yeah, we're definitely getting fucking shut down. I don't even care anymore, man. I'm actually just trying to get canceled.
No. I just think it's funny that like wrestling podcast somehow turned to homeless crackheads sucking dick on a fucking on a public or a public bus.
Yeah. Fuck. Speaking of being canceled, I don't know if you read this or not. I read that the reason that DEM Boys have not fucking aired on AEW is because some asshole at Time Warner, wherever is fucking running the big shots at AEW's TV time, doesn't want them there because they said some fucking homophobic shit in like 2011 or some shit.
13 Jay said some homophobic stuff,
but they brought
on Twitter and then apologized for it, like at the next Ring of Honor show. And but the fact that it exists, is why they don't want to bring somebody in like that.
Sammy talked about raping fucking Sasha Banks. Like,
right,
he apologized for it. Had to take some sensitivity classes or something, which was probably just office time with Tony Khan.
right,
Who knows what the fucking sensitivity class entitles, you know?
right.
But I'm sure
right.
Sammy Guevara, of all people, took it real serious.
Yeah, right. No doubt.
He probably did in the fact.
Sensitivity.
It probably did in the fact that, like, oh yeah, all right, don't tweet anything dumb anymore.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't even a tweet. It was during an interview, and she was like, she was. It was like down an interview row or something like that, and or they had just interviewed Sasha Banks like the day before, and then they interviewed him after, and it was all like, oh, Sasha Banks, you know, da 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 da, and that's when he made that, you know, rape comment or whatever, and it so it was just like, yeah, she's a hot fucking chick that I would, you know, given the opportunity to put my penis inside her, I would do it. That's, you know, basically what he's trying to say. You know,
I'm not even sure she was like
a
upset about it. Like, I thought she accepted his apology fairly quickly.
Yeah, she didn't really honestly care, you know, but it was, you know, the masses that cared.
She was like, probably who? The guy in the panda suit?
Yeah, exactly. The panda guy on the other show that doesn't get as many views as we get.
That fucking sucks, though, man. What a fucking pile of shit idea that is. Hopefully, I don't know what Ring of Honor will look like then.
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, they're still going to be able to wrestle a Ring of Honor. They just won't be on AEW television, I think, is what's going on.
Well, maybe AEW should start looking for new places to fucking put their show so we can have Dem Boys on TV.
I know, because we want them, you know, not because Time Warner's scared of the repercussions.
Yeah, but
like the wrestling fans want them.
Nobody's gonna care enough to stop watching anything. It's dumb. Like, look at Joe Rogan, you know? Nobody dropped their fucking Spotify account. Like, just a week ago, everybody was crying because it went offline for fucking an hour.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, dude. Spotify shut down. I think you're an iTunes guy, but yeah, Spotify shut down for a fucking hour and the whole world had a conniption fit. I literally saw like 8 people online just crying about Spotify being down. And some of those people were legitimately people that were like, you know, I respect Neil Young for standing his ground. Like, fuck you. Like, whatever you
really
say.
They had the audacity.
I swear to fucking God.
2 weeks later.
No, they didn't see anything fucking wrong with it. You know, and it probably been a month or two, but yeah, no, they didn't see anything wrong with that. Fuck their value. You know, they're inconvenienced because they're taking a road trip and they don't have anything to listen to for a fucking hour. But yeah.
Right.
Well, if you supported that shit so much, why didn't you fucking cancel your fucking subscription, you dipshits? Because Joe Rogan's still there, still isn't going anywhere. Right. Thank God. God bless America, because I fucking love Joe Rogan, and the fact that he had to sit out a fight to fucking because of these assholes, you know, fucking irritates me because he's a great fucking commentator, he's a great podcaster. And people, I don't know, the shit about Joe Rogan just pisses me off too, because those people, they never listen to him. You know, anybody who listens to
they get clips. They just get clips.
Anybody who actually listens to him knows
to manipulate.
Yeah, he's a totally supportive of the trans fucking community. He's totally supportive of the gay community. He was a Bernie Sanders supporter. I think I ranted about this on the last show too, but that's just whatever. Like, nobody's gonna. My point is nobody's gonna stop watching fucking reruns of Big Bang Theory fucking because fucking or AEW or any other fucking show because they fucking booked them boys. Most of those people aren't even gonna know. Now they know because these idiots fucking mention it. They should just shut the fuck up and let them come on TV and just do what they do, because they probably bring ratings up because they're awesome.
Right.
Let's just give them the belts like out the gate, because there's not a better tag team in AEW right now. There's not. There's seriously, in my opinion, maybe what Daniel Bryan and Mox maybe are better or just as good as them boys. Like, fuck a Jurassic Who. I don't give a fuck. Like, FTR is probably right up there too, but I no. Fucking Briscoe brothers, they're the money for me. And then what's shitty is like, and why I'm panicking so much is they're like fucking 40, almost 50. Like, they need a fucking moment on TV. They need big pay-per-views. They deserve it, you know?
Yeah, they're in there. I don't know if they've hit 40 yet, but I know they're pretty close.
They're probably like our age, a little older than us. You know, they're probably dancing in that 40 territory. But yeah, so, you know, that's been a lot of guys.
I'm old now. I'm 38.
Yeah, I'm 37, man. So I'm going to be 38 in September.
I always, for some reason, I always think you're 2 years younger than me.
No, I always thought we were the same age, actually.
Yeah. So Jay is 38, and that would make Mark, where the hell's Mark at? Mark would be 37, so they're a year apart.
Did you know Cornette was talking a bit about him because he booked him, when he was in AEW forever. He loves the Briscoes. But
does he really? I feel like he would hate the Briscoes.
No, he fucking loves them, man. Loves the Briscoes. But their whole shtick is like 100% real. Like they're chicken farmers.
Yeah.
They're like everything they talk about in their fucking promos and shit, or it's real. They're chicken farmers from wherever the fuck Virginia. Where are they from?
Delaware.
Yeah, everything's real. That homestead of theirs, it's real. It's
the compound thing.
Yeah, and that's probably one of the best parts about it. Yeah, and they all live there with their families and shit. It's like that. Yeah, it's insane, but it's cool, man. That's them. It's like kind of like, I don't know. There's not a lot of difference between their character and their fucking real life selves.
The ghetto-ness in their language. I mean, the way they speak, I guess, is the one thing that I'm like, I didn't realize people from Delaware, this part of Delaware, spoke this way. Like, that's the only thing that doesn't feel authentic. But that's only because I don't know this part of Delaware, and I don't know.
If you're probably from that area, it probably makes complete sense. Like people that talk about Oregon and don't think about the whole East Side.
Yeah, right.
Because then, really, at the end of the day, I don't know shit about Delaware except I assumed it's a rich state because it's northeastern.
Exactly.
So these dudes, there's some Amish people out there.
Yeah, but these dudes as chicken farmers just seem so foreign to me. That's what Delaware could be. You know what I mean? What I mean? but it's just ignorance of, I've never been to that part of the country, so I have no fucking idea.
Yeah.
And you've never toured that far, have you?
I've gotten in that area and I might have went through it, but I didn't know because the states there are really tiny. So when you get to New York and New Jersey and all that shit and Pennsylvania, you tend to go through a lot of those states and you don't even know, like Rhode Island and shit like that.
Right.
Right. But I know that I've been as far north as New York. So
I've been to New York City and been to Cooperstown, New York, but that's as far as I've ever gone.
I've been really high up in New York, like dancing in Canadian territory, like Niagara
Buffalo
Falls.
And whatnot.
Yeah, I've been in Buffalo and Rochester, all those areas. So I've actually never been to New York City though, but I've been to all kinds of places. But that's as far north as it's gone. I've never, which sucks because like that's on my bucket list actually, is to make it up to Boston and just up in the New England area.
Providence, Rhode Island and shit.
Yeah, Rhode Island and shit like that. But I'm pretty sure I've been through a few of those places. Connecticut's another one you probably have, went through if you've been to New York or went up the East Coast, But you pass through them so quick because they're tiny. It's not like all the states on the west side are huge,
Right.
But yeah.
But
I don't know much about that. Huh?
But I was gonna say, I guess that's the way the Briscoes talk from that part of the country.
Well, I'm gonna look up real quick where Delaware is at in comparison to some other places I know that are super white trash, but might be thrown in the mix there. And I'm also gonna make an accurate assumption of whether I've been through Delaware or not, too. Come on, because now I want to know.
Forever. It's taking forever. And then what happened last night? Another shitty news with Scott Hall going in for hip surgery and getting a blood clot and having 3 strokes, and I was in critical condition.
I was just going to mention that, man. And actually, dude, Jody's mom just had the same thing happen. He's down in Portland.
Oh, no.
Yeah, not quite the same thing, but she has having some real health issues and led her to having strokes, and they missed it because she was under watch for other shit, infection. So it's sad. Be honest with you, man, Delaware is so fucking far out there that maybe I fucking hit a corner of it going to like Philly or New Jersey. I think I remember going through it, that in Maryland's another one that I probably went to, but it is right in like the Virginia, North Carolina area. And it's kind of an island. So I could see why it's like right in between New Jersey and Virginia, which Virginia is kind of southern almost and white trash. Right. So it's kind of, that would be a unique place, which is probably why you get that unique kind of culture accent because it's like redneck fucking yuppie New Yorker almost, you know? It's like a mix between like the wild whites of West Virginia and like New Jersey, you know?
Right, but then a little hood in there too.
Yeah, which is probably where the being close to like New York and all that shit comes from, you know, but it's like redneck hood, you know, like they could like in a jelly roll video or some shit, you know.
I was gonna say, what's that?
Colt
there's a hip. I was gonna say, there's a hip hop country group that like has like monster trucks and shit like this. Like that's who you know they could be hanging out with the monster truck guys.
Yeah, that always blew my mind too with rappers like that. To be honest, is like, where the fuck are you from, motherfucker? Where you're so country and hood. Usually Georgia, I guess, is like it's a good state.
Yeah, Georgia's what's that? CeeLo Green was part of they were kind of they had a country little thing for a minute with the Dungeon Family. Really? There was a little country-esque song or two on one of the albums.
I love CeeLo Green, man. CeeLo Green is such a talent, man.
Nappy Roots, that's who it was. Nappy Roots.
Yeah.
All My Life Been Poor. There was a country sounding tune on that album, which Nappy Roots was a part of the Dungeon Family, which is what CeeLo Green was, you know, rap group was, you know, he was the biggest guy to make it out of that group or whatever back in the late 90s.
I'll have to check it out because I love that dude. CeeLo Green is pretty good, man.
Yeah, just Google Nappy Roots and Dungeon Family and see kind of where they correlate. It's kind of cool.
Right on.
But yeah. What else wrestling stuff do we have to talk about?
I don't know, man. But yeah, the Scott Hall thing's sad, man. And
right.
You know, speaking of guys that were never world champ that probably should have been, is Scott Hall's right up there in that list, you know?
Yeah, because he never even got it in WCW, did he?
No. And I mean, that kind of shows the importance of like just wrestlers being relevant without a belt and storylines being relevant without a belt.
Right.
Is a better way to put it, you know, because like you can make good storylines and not have a belt involved. And WWE has seemed to forget that. And for a while, AEW kind of did too, but they're definitely picking it up now to where they're making some good ones, like with CM Punk and MJF and Daniel Bryan
and Mox, Eddie and Chris. Eddie and Chris was fucking fantastic.
Yeah,
that started off the main. I was like, that started off the main show. That was such a good match.
Well, and I guess we can bounce back to that a little bit. I guess like, so for a minute, did he turn on Sammy too? Was Sammy there?
No, he didn't turn on Sammy as well.
Okay, so
just Ortiz, Santana, and Eddie.
Okay, so essentially he just disbanded the.
Yeah, and Sammy came out with a vest on, and everybody was like, "Oh, Sammy's still wearing the Inner Circle vest." No, it was a Sammy Guevara only vest with no Inner Circle reference on it. It just was his vest that he's been wearing with different patches and shit on it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, and this will be an interesting time for Sammy though, because he doesn't have the belt anymore. He doesn't have the Inner Circle. How's he going to remain relevant? Like,
it's gonna be him and Ty Conti versus Paige Van Zant and whomever from the Dan Lambert Men of the Year American Top Team camp. I think that's what the next feud's going to be for Sammy.
Scorpio Sky's not in Top Team. It's the other guy from that old tag team, huh?
No. Scorpio Sky's a part of that.
Oh, is he?
But I'm curious to see what happens with Wardlow and Scorpio Sky. I think that depending upon what happens to that will depend upon who's going to hook up with Paige Van Zant and wrestle Ty and Sammy.
Well, I think it's kind of overdue that Scorpio Sky gets his rub because he's.
But he's already held the tag title. He was the initial tag title champ.
Yeah, but that really, how many people remember that besides you? You know, I forget it all the time. You know, and I'm a pretty big fan
that they were the inaugural champs.
Yeah, and they had some really lackluster shit, and it wasn't their best. You know, they did way better in other places.
It was very like head scratching. Like you have such a stacked division, and this isn't even like your top 5 team. But I think it was a nod to their buddies getting the tag titles first.
Mm-hmm.
SCU helped help create, being the elite and how big it was. That I think it was a rub saying we deserve this to give this to you guys.
But I think that SCU was kind of over in Ring of Honor and other places as well, though. So and a lot of people did revere.
No, it was, but it was more so over on BTE.
Also, a lot of like old school guys will really say Scorpio's like got a lot, like he was kind of the shining guy in that. Like a lot of people, I guess, a lot of older people who know wrestling pretty well, like will pretty much put a lot of stock into Scorpio Sky, so I think even Tony Khan does from the sounds of it. When they first started, he really was investing in in Sky as being one of the top guys later on. So I'm kind of glad to see him do something relevant with it, because I like to see what he can do, and they got Dan Lambert with him. Then that's good, because that guy can talk, dude. He's good.
Right.
He's pretty much like quoting direct shit off Cornette's podcast, like the worst of it, just to get the crowd pissed off,
Yeah.
But he's still, regardless, he's like getting fucking heat, And
he's doing a great job.
And he's got a legit background to back it up, which makes it even better, like he's got one of the best fight teams in MMA too,
Right, exactly. He's had former world champions on his team, yeah.
Well, and he trained two of the most relevant guys in the game right now that haven't held titles too, Masvidal and Kofi, or
right.
Colby,
Colby, yeah, Covington, yeah.
Yeah, and a bunch of other people have been on there too that I can't even think of. But his gym is, and he's got this rub with them too, where he can tell them to shut the fuck up, and they will. There's no, their egos stop when he tells them to stop. So he's one of those guys that's small and whatever, but like those big guys listen to him for whatever reason and respect.
Yeah, he can snap every back, reel them all back in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so I think they should probably let him keep it and see what he can do with it. At least give him that respect, So my guess is they'll probably have MJF fuck Wardlow over and have him come back for it later.
Yeah, I get it.
Or in some cases, for me, I think they're leaving a lot of guys out of the TNT picture to really heighten the up and coming talent. Like Wardlow could go into the world title picture tomorrow and be convincing.
Oh, most definitely.
So it's going to be, I think if they give him the TNT title, it might do, like you were saying, make that whole thing worse, where they make it more relevant than the world title. Because whoever wins that title, it's either going to do one of two things. It's going to make Wardlow look like shit, or it's going to have to be a bad son of a bitch to take it,
Right.
And right now, who's supposed to be better than Wardlow? I mean, not a lot of people. I think he's undefeated. If not, he's only been defeated a small handful of times, and
he's like whatever his record, it's whatever his win record is, and 2 losses. Cody is one of them, and then a tag match was another one.
Yeah, usually he's doing the job for. Oh, and he lost to Punk. Yeah, he lost to Punk too, because Punk rolled him up.
Okay, so maybe it's 3. So yeah, I remember, because it wasn't many.
Yeah, it was always getting to MJF.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think that's probably what will happen. If it should probably be, because I don't know. It's going to be, as much as I want to see Wardlow with some kind of belt and some kind of relevancy. I would like to see Sky with it for a while, just to see what he can do with it. I hate it when they put like put
transitional champ.
Yeah, because why even do that? With any belt, and to me, it's just dumb.
Yep, 100% agree.
And they've done it forever. And here's something that AEW never does that maybe they should toy the idea with. Pass it back and forth a couple of times, like The Rock and Mick did a few times, Like, give it to somebody, have a big moment, and then have them pass it back a few nights later or something, So
like, keep the feud going for.
Yeah, because they have the no rematch clause, I think.
Back and forth. Yeah. I believe so.
So that whole thing's kind of dumb to me. I've just never liked it. Some people dig it. It's not my thing. I want to see a rematch almost, at the next pay-per-view, and I guess you can't really do that when you're running 4 pay-per-views a year, but I want to see a rematch. I think, um, Kenny deserves a rematch against Paige when he comes back.
Yeah, but it's the New Japan style. It's the New Japan style. It's once the big event happened and you beat whoever you beat, the next person to challenge for that belt always shows up later that night or first thing to like the next event or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's usually that night, so it's adopting from the New Japan style.
Yeah, that's cool too, but at the same time, it becomes fucking predictable.
No, it is,
and that's what I liked about.
But New Japan does that every fucking time.
And that's what I liked about what I've heard about this last pay-per-view is there was none of that shit this time. Like I said, the fans are so spoiled into like, okay, who's coming now? Is it going to be Bray? Right. Is it going to be Cody coming back? Like you can't just be happy that was a good match with an ending and go home and be like, wow, that was awesome. That was worth $50,
Yeah, most of them ended right then and there, with the exception of Wardlow ending his relationship with Max, essentially.
Well,
that was the only, go ahead.
How did that end? I didn't get to see that. Did Wardlow walk out on him or?
No. So Wardlow came out. Max was asking for the ring. Max was like, Wardlow's, I can't find it. There's a moment, MJF or CM Punk's right near the edge of the ring, and Wardlow's like, oh, looks like I found it, and then like sets it down right there so Punk can grab it, and then fucking punches MJF in the face, and then 1, 2, 3 finish.
Okay. That makes sense then. So Max is what's probably going to happen is Max is going to take some time off and he's going to come back. Kind of unexpected.
Sorry, I was gonna say one other thing that involves the Pinnacle, but doesn't involve the Pinnacle directly. On Wednesday, FTR, I don't know if you saw, fired Tully.
Yeah, that's weird to me.
Yeah,
but I guess I don't know. I've never been a huge Tully guy. His new role is just not for me, I guess. I wonder who they're going to go with. Maybe they should go with Arn, man. Arn's a good manager.
He's more convincing, I think, than Tully as a manager.
Yeah. I wonder if they will, because Arn's got his schedule wide open all of a sudden, and they're just sending him around with this goofy-looking kid and whoever the fuck that other guy is.
Shoddy Lee and Brock now, yeah.
Yeah. Brock just looks like a smaller, less intimidating, more ridiculous version of Arn.
He does. He looks like his dad so much.
Yeah, dude, he's like 23 years old and he's already balding, like exactly like Arn, but he's like 100 pounds lighter and not nearly as talented as Arn.
Right.
He's definitely the David Flair of that family.
Yeah, he is. But he did throw a very pretty spine buster the other day that resembled his dad's spine buster. It was pretty.
Yeah. Well, since they're not really doing much with Danhausen, I imagine they'll probably, speaking of second generation wrestlers, I imagine the Ass Boys and him are going to start feuding pretty soon. That should be pretty interesting.
Well, as soon as he's able to wrestle, whenever his broken leg, he's cleared to wrestle. I bet he starts a program with the Ass Boys, and yeah, it'll be a fucking riot. But I think like I said, I'm pretty certain he's still not cleared to wrestle yet. Because if you watch him move around on TV, he's still, unless he's doing a great job with his character, he looks very like, I'm not 100% ready to move like a normal person would move. But he does the whole like, I do stand like this, look all creepy minion, kind of look or whatever. So maybe he's just good at what he does.
Yeah.
But I don't think he's 100% recovered from the break yet.
Yeah. I love the Ass Boys though, man. I'll tell you, when I first started thinking that Colton and Austin Gunn were like going to be pretty good someday is honestly during the pandemic, when they were the most interesting thing in the crowd.
They were more entertaining than some of the matches.
Yeah, because they were just, and you could tell they loved being there and they were just fun.
Yeah.
So like,
they're like, we gotta provide the energy, and they kind of sometimes took over the match, but it was okay because they got themselves over in that aspect.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that was great, man. That was one of the best things about AEW during the pandemic compared to WWE. The fake noise and the bullshit fucking fake crowd was not nearly as entertaining to me as like the wrestlers in the crowd, you
Oh,
know?
most definitely. Most definitely.
So, but yeah, I like the Aspos. I think you want to talk about world or, you know, future champs. I mean, I see them with the belts in the next couple of years if they don't get hurt and I know you said that, that Colton's actually kind of old. I didn't realize he's as
Well,
old as he is.
not old, but he's 30 and Austin's 27. So he's already got a couple of years on him, but he started after Austin as
They're good in
well.
the ring too, man. They're good at everything they do, man. And
Yeah, I was gonna say, Melanie and I were scrolling through Twitter last night and saw that they actually won their first gold as a tag team at some promotion, wrestling, Southern wrestling or some shit like that, where Billy became the world title holder and Austin and Colton became the tag title holder last night. So it was kind of them getting their first gold, which is kind of cool to see, even
cool.
if it's for a company that we know nothing about.
You know, and I've said this 100 times, man. And speaking of old guys getting gold, the one thing I would love to see before he rides off in the sunset is for Dustin to get some fucking gold someplace. Not a tag title, not a fucking
No,
tag title, but either the TNT belt or even the world championship belt. That would be a good one. That'd be like a Mick Foley moment where, you know, Mick couldn't hold the title for a good year and have it be believable, but let him hold it for a month, maybe outrun whoever and get some, you know, some packages in, you know, some real quick pins on somebody, just pissing somebody off, you know. And but dude, he sells it. Nobody can carry a story like Dustin, man. One of the best stories that they've ever done still to this day, in my opinion, is Cody versus Dustin in that first fucking pay-per-view, man. Like those guys, that was a beautiful, and the videos to everything. And I miss some of those, man. Like where are those days at? Some of those, like, I don't feel like we get a lot of that anymore, where they just put a lot of work into packages and like presenting the story. That's there's just too much going on to commit, you know, 4 or 5 minutes of TV to that, I guess, anymore. But I loved those old ones like that, man.
So, yeah, if they could figure out how to make it not awkward, but like here's the kickstart this other rivalry. Check out this, you know, shit on YouTube.com. But you know, then it's like not everybody's gonna do that. You know, it's kind of one of the, like they do that whole road to Revolution and they do a lot of that stuff. But
just definitely none
of them have the same feel. Yeah, but I was gonna say none of them have the same feel that Dustin and Cody did.
Yeah, they put a lot of work into it, man.
That's been probably the second most emotional time I've been with this, you know, have had with this company. You know, obviously number one when Brody passed, you know, the reunion show, but like, you know, being mentally and you know, and emotionally invested in a wrestling match. You know, it's like it's fucking fake wrestling. It's dude, you know, lubing up each other in their underwear. But it's like, I was invested in that match and like, you know, seen it, you know, live. Because, you know, Melanie and I going to Double or Nothing, it was a very cool moment. It was a very cool moment.
Not even just that, there was other good matches that had good videos with them. I think wasn't that the same one that Hangman and Jericho fucking went at it? There was a good build there, man. There was a lot of good builds and good matches during that time, and they need to revert back to that a little bit, to where they just.
But they had nothing. They had nothing else to do. It was the very first event. They literally had zero to do except for build these events because they had no TV to go off of. They had no matches to go off of. They pretty much had the internet to go off of.
Well, to play the devil's advocate, they still have a lot of fucking time. They don't tour. They do 2 shows a week and they're on the same fucking day, you know?
Yeah. But their roster's so big. Like you said, they're just trying to get people on TV. Yeah. So I think, like I said, the acquisition of Ring of Honor will benefit because a lot of that underutilized talent, they'll be able to push over to Ring of Honor, try and bring some of the old talent back.
Yeah.
So it feels like the old Ring of Honor as well. And start the company from there. And if they want to treat it like a developmental, treat it like a developmental. But, you know, invest a little bit of money on them, let them be on TV more than midnight on Saturdays, you know, on your local channels or whatever. And, you know, go from there, I guess.
Speaking of developmental and before, before I say anything about that, but it's going to be really interesting to see what happens. I'm really excited about that still, man. So hopefully the outcome isn't fucked up and it's as good as I hope it's going to be. Because
I'm just curious, because other than saying, yeah, we bought Ring of Honor, like they haven't really like done anything much with anything Ring of Honor yet. And I'm just like, I want something. Give us something. But now that Revolution's over, maybe now they can start working on whatever that something might be.
Yeah, and I think we'll probably see a lot more after the pay-per-view. I wonder if they're going to start working on matches for that. I mean, I feel like they've already had a few of the matches, right?
Well, they've announced Alex Zane and Swerve Strickland. They've announced DEM Boys versus mystery opponents, but I haven't seen anything beyond that. Are they going to bring John Gresham and Bandito to wrestle for the world title? I don't even know who holds the TV title or the 6-man title. Either of those titles currently. The women's champ has moved on to WWE. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, who knows, man? But I think we'll see a little bit more then. But like I was saying, what about before we get off here? I think we're probably running pretty low on shit to talk about this week. But
yeah, right.
But one thing we haven't talked about is Dolph being the NXT championship. What are your feelings on that?
Well, they had him beat Braun Breaker because I think Vince has a boner to bring Braun over the main event sooner than later. But again, why do you? I mean, I guess that's the only way to make Braun look over against the NXT competitors, but make him an equal to the main roster competitors. And I think bringing in a main roster competitor, beating him for their world title, puts him on a level playing field where he's not just the most dominant fucking dude. And I think it's actually very good booking.
The only thing that pisses me off about it is that they just underuse Dolph so much, that like, I feel like Dolph is a perfect talent, even though he's getting older, that should be in the fucking world title.
He's a much better QT Marshall. I think he's your utility guy where you can throw him anywhere.
Yeah.
He's a much better, because QT, is not the sexiest dude to look at on AEW television, but he can wrestle with anybody. And I think Dolph is the exact same thing, but has more personality and can be a world title guy, even if it is the third brand's world title.
Yeah. But Dolph's honestly one I'd like to see jump ship. I really want to see him get the fuck out of there, but I think he just cares more about money. If you want me to be honest, I think Vince keeps him there because Vince likes him. And like you said, he's a good utility guy, and Vince likes good utility guys. And he probably sells some autographs and sells some merch. So he's not, pretty good. He's probably pretty good just workhorse for them. So they'll keep him around.
He's your great B+ player.
Yeah, I mean, and he might get a little bit more money from AEW, but his contract's probably going to be a little sweeter somehow through WWE,
Oh, yeah, he'll make more money that way with appearances and stuff like that, I would imagine.
Yeah. So but yeah, I mean, I think it's good, but it kind of just goes like, what are they doing? Like, I thought they were going to use this as a fucking developmental talent. Like, why did they completely destroy it and fuck it up, And now they're going to do the same thing they were doing, where they're going to have wrestlers bounce back and forth, and they have a guy like Dolph carrying the title. Like, yeah, I get it's kind of good, but it's like also kind of defeating the purpose of what they're trying to do, But
it's kind of funny if you think about it. Both of their world champions, male and female, former main roster competitors.
Oh yeah, because Mandy Rose is there. That's what I was kind of thinking. They might try to do a thing where they put those two together.
I think it's going to be a transitional, like, we're going to dominate NXT and we're going to let all these youngsters develop and come into character, and then we'll hand it off to them eventually.
Well, I think it should be that way anyways, but it's just dumb that they had to take away all the good shit in there, but I don't think it's as bad as people want to think it is. I watched a little bit of the other day, and I really like the vibe they have with like the new layout for it. It looks really, if you take a second to stop ignore the fact that the new logo and all the colors are stupid. The crowd setting and how they have it all set up and how they have the ring set up, it's a real cool setup in my opinion. There's just a couple things they did that I didn't really like. So I think if you give NXT a little bit of time, I think it'll be all right. But I think they're gonna end up kind of contradicting what their whole point of rebranding it was, and like I said, I mean, we're already seeing it where they're sending bigger talent down there to be the champion and stuff,
But I thought they did rewrite it as developmental.
Huh?
Didn't they like kind of rebrand it as developmental? Or did they rebrand it as a third brand?
No, but it was always supposed to be developmental, but they're just like trying to make sure it is now,
Right.
Because the third brand got its ass when they had the mentality of it being a third brand, it got its ass whipped by AEW,
Right.
So, but yeah, I don't know. And I don't know. It's going to be interesting. This is going to be one boring Mania. I have a feeling.
Yeah. I mean, cool unifying the titles, with Brock and Roman, but it's like we've seen that match or a variation of that match like how many times over the past 5 to 6 years it's felt like. It just feels very redundant.
Well,
and redundancy is comfortable and people are okay with that, but as being a quote unquote wrestling fan, I want to see not the same old shit.
Yeah. Well, and it's kind of funny, like that guy I was telling you about that I talked to in the gym about. I was like, that my lead-in was like, I was just like, hey, it's Mania season because he had his Roman shirt on, and he kind of just looked at me and he's like, oh yeah. I was like, yeah, and I just kind of like didn't say much. I was like, I'm kind of glad they're unifying the titles. He's like, yeah, and then he was like, all he said after that was like, I just hope he wins because I hate Brock. And he's like a 30-year-old man. So I was like, all right, I get it. Enjoy Mania, buddy.
You're like, enjoy Mania and enjoy.
But that's cool though. Fuck it, man. Like everybody should watch wrestling like that. And I tried.
Yeah, no, of course. It's just and that's the fair weather fan that's gonna love WWE till the day they die, and then there's gonna be the marks out there that are going to shit on this, and they're going to shit on that, and
the marks will never, be happy. They're going to find a reason to shit on AEW eventually.
Right. Well, which they do. I mean, marks on both ends shit on each other's product.
Yeah, and then we've seen AEW fans turn on themselves too.
Yeah, exactly.
Like if it's not PC enough, then we'll watch them shit.
Right.
So until Tony apologizes or sends somebody to fucking
another sensitivity class, concentration camp. Wow, that escalated.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna start calling sensitivity camps, concentration camps.
Oh, well, so I have a folder when we have to like show our vaccination stuff here in Portland for things like go to like Timbers games and shit.
Yeah,
I have this folder deemed in my phone. Show us your papers.
Yeah,
it feels like fucking Nazi Germany.
Dude, man, they didn't even. I took Paige up to Seattle last week. We went a bunch of places that said they were requiring that shit, and they haven't. Nobody asked us for shit, man. Good. We didn't even wear masks at the Circle Jerk show.
Yeah.
How was Priest? Were they fucking Nazis about it there?
No, like we came in just because we were like, we're kind of scoping out what the crowd was doing. We came in with them, and then when we went down to the floor, we had them off the rest of the show, and nobody said a fucking thing.
Yeah, that's exactly what we did. We walked in when we were in line, we had it on and walked in, and then I was like, nobody's wearing it. I'm not fucking wearing it,
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, it is what it is, man. I think it's time.
And that's the thing is, it's like I get it. People are very, very, caught up in this pandemic, and I understand. But at the same time, it's like, how long are we going to live in fear? When can we just let things run their course?
I know people right now that were really
let nature take over.
Yeah, well, and I know people that were really, really cautious and really, really respectful, and maybe even over the top at times. That have really reverted to the same way, where they're like, "All right, it's done. Let's go." Like there's a lot of people at the Circle Jerk show that I ran into that weren't wearing masks, like Honeycutt was probably the only person I knew there that was still fucking wearing one. It's because his mom could die, if they brought it home.
Right.
So like, some people have a bit more of a personal thing with it, but the fact that Honeycutt was even there tells you that things are getting better, because he wouldn't go anywhere for a long time. He's taking care of his parents right now. And he's just like, nope, I'm not risking shit. Like, it took forever for me to convince him to go hang out with me for a few hours one time, and it took about 6 months for him to finally be like, all right, you're vaccinated, we can go, so, but, that means we're going to have to go some wrestling matches once my knee are better, dude.
Right. The only, I was gonna say the downside is Defy is still requiring them at their shows.
Really? Well, give them a few months, because like Seattle's really easing up. So even then, I'd wear one if the match was good enough, or pull it over my face and make them tell me to pull it up 100 fucking times, like I do everywhere else I go. It's not even a mandate. I mean, the mandate's been lifted, I think, now, at least in Washington.
Yeah. No, it was lifted in Oregon yesterday.
So Defy's just still going to require them regardless.
Correct. Which private companies or whatever can implement it, but it's like one of those things where it's like, are they going to deal with the headache of implementing it when the mandate as a state is lifted it? Yeah. But then you see on Twitter, like the Defy folks are like, thanks for thinking of everybody. It's like, guys, let it run its course. Stop living in fear.
Yeah.
Just let nature take over, please.
It is weird though, man. It's tough because like, every time I start getting in the mentality of being like, it's like the cold or flu. Then I hear a story about where like my uncle today, who is pretty much just like a fucking my uncle's not anti anything, but he's like, do whatever you want. But he's like a big manager at one of the potato plants. And he said one of his guys was out for like 3 months and ended up spending like 6 months on fucking in the hospital, or not 6 months, but 6 weeks in the hospital. And then like another 6 weeks on a fucking oxygen at his home because of it.
I mean, I've heard horror stories on both sides, and that's where I'm coming from. It's like, if you're going to get fucked up, you're going to get fucked up. And if you feel that the vaccine is for you, that's cool. If you feel the vaccine isn't for you, that's cool. But I think if you're going to get messed up, you're going to get messed up. I think that's personal opinion now. I think it's going to happen because, like I said, I've heard horror stories about like people having reactions from the vaccine. Then I've heard horror stories where folks that haven't done the vaccine have ended up like, in intensive care units and shit like that. So I think
it's your choice.
They're on both sides. Yeah.
It's your choice of what you want to do, and like, I choose to get vaccinated, and I think it probably helped me from like getting a lot sicker than I was just by how.
Yeah, most definitely.
But and
if that, like I said, if that's how you feel about it, then of course that's what
part of the reason I was so passionate about people getting it is because I'm like, fuck, just do it. It's not a big deal. Like, I've got the vaccine. Like, I know some of the reactions, but people have reactions to shit every fucking day. People eat shellfish for the first time every day and have a fucking reaction.
Right.
People eat peanuts and have a reaction. That's just what fucking happens when you're putting shit in your body. But at the end of the day, I'm like, there's not putting computer chips in you. Just get it so we can start doing shit again, because this is what's going to make them happy, And
I think amongst the masses, at least the folks that were skeptic, like I was a skeptic, only because it's only been around for so long. So like we know no fucking data.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, yes, the N1R1, like the vaccine has been around, but the vaccine against this pathogen we've known about it for 18 months or whatever. And it was like, what the fuck is this going to do to like, to kids that are, are they ever going to be able to have fucking offspring ever again? It was all those variables, and that's why I was a skeptic. But eventually it was just like, well, this is just the fucking new norm. So I just said, fuck it and did it.
Yeah. To be honest, man, like I kind of felt like, and yeah, you could use a little less offsprings, buddy. You should have got one of those a long time ago if that was the case.
Well, no, I'm more talking about my children.
Oh yeah. If they breed like you, it might not be a bad thing. They'll probably Landon's probably still got swimmers, even if it fucked him up. So you might just have to try a little harder. And oh boy, that's right. But now I forgot what I was even gonna fucking say. Jesus Christ. But what was I gonna say? I was laughing. I'm laughing now.
Something vaccine related, maybe. I don't know.
Oh, I'm sure it was vaccine related, but whatever. It doesn't fucking matter. It seems like any podcast I do, I end up talking about this shit, and I'm just happy that maybe we won't have to talk about it so much anymore.
It's been it's been a constant part of our world for two plus years.
Yeah,
almost 3 years.
I'm just done, and
yeah.
I think what I was gonna say is I think they've got a better idea of like what vaccines look like now. It's not like we're making vaccines in 1800s.
No, I understand, and I'm not ignorant to that fact, but it's
that's why I wasn't too worried about it. I'm like, whatever. I put so much artificial sugars and artificial flavoring and bullshit. It's like my diet now is probably more damaging than it was when I was eating sugar every day because of the amount of artificial shit I put in.
Like I said,
I'm losing weight.
I wasn't concerned about myself. I was more concerned about future generations.
Yeah, I got you.
Was where I was skeptical about it.
And you know what?
Mine was like, I just was like, fuck it, I'm going to do it so I don't have to wear this stupid mask anymore.
Well, yeah, then it sucks. We had to wear it anyways. But
yeah, exactly.
I guess and when teaching our kids not to question shit is dangerous too. Like, I don't understand how anybody can be on board with all these. Like, half these people are like people claiming to be anarchists or fucking punk rockers, and I'm like, you guys are cool with just sucking the government's dick and expect,
exactly. It's so hypocritical. It's
fucking bizarre. I'm like, I can't ask questions. There are people who get mad if I just ask a question. Well, what are this? Well, oh my God, are you stupid? Like, no, I'm just asking a question. Like, it's not possible that this could be. Like, the second that somebody's like, this isn't possible, it's way more possible that somebody's going to fuck you over. Like a government's never fucked over their people before. Like, if any government's going to fuck over their people, it's ours.
It'll be us.
Yeah,
no doubt.
So the second we start teaching that to kids, it's a dangerous road to go down. I think
the sheeple, man, the sheeple.
But I think on the other end of it, the people that are really like, I don't know, I feel so stuck in the middle all the time because the people that are extreme on the other ends, like they want that so badly. They want to be like proved right that, oh, we knew the government's going to fuck us. That's why we got a fucking million AKs in our bedroom, which I'm definitely not like. I don't give a fuck about guns, whatever. I've got one. I got a shotgun because I don't want to miss. I'm not a real good shot anymore. I was probably a better shot when I was 8 than I am now. So I got a shotgun. If you come in my house, I'm not going to miss you. And I'm probably going to get the neighbor too, but
somebody's going to the hospital.
Yeah. And I'm going to be deaf as shit when it's done, but I'm not going to miss. And yeah. It's funny. Yeah, I had to tell Paige, remember, if you ever have to use this, make sure you're not pointing it anywhere near where anybody's sleeping. Like, if anything, fire it in the air to scare the person off before you go.
Because a birdshot's going to take everybody out.
It's all birdshot, too. There's no slugs in this shit. So, but yeah. Well, shit, man. Let's, I guess we'll probably be good for a minute with, might take a couple weeks to build up enough news to be able to put another show together.
Yeah, unless something significant happens that like triggers you and I saying, hey, we need to get a show this week.
Yeah, it's kind of, there's not a lot of pay-per-views coming up. Is there another pay-per-view before Mania, or is it just Mania?
I think there's an NXT pay-per-view.
Yeah. So
I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head.
Anybody listening, though, if you guys want to join our group, the Matt Marks faction, we are welcoming new members. You don't have to do anything or pay any money, but we do enjoy doing pick'ems, and we would love to have you. We're trying to get a good pick'ems team going so we can have some good camaraderie. And
speaking of that, I still need to update AEW Revolution and year-to-date pick'ems.
Yeah, you're dancing in dogfight territory.
I'm such a piece of shit when it comes to that.
I'm just glad we got those guys out of there, man. That was part of what was just like, I didn't want to be the dick that was just like, let's just block these dudes. And one was way worse than the other, but
yeah.
And then when they took over, that was funny. I just got into it. Like, the guy was like trying to talk shit about me and how we did picks, but he couldn't even fucking spell. Like, he was like, and that's coming from me. That's coming from me. Like, your wife used to make fucking Bella fucking spell check my Facebook. So she, like, for homework, like, and I'm like, this dude can't spell for shit. Like, fucking stupid. So anyways, but we don't have a lot of rules. We just require you not be a douchebag, but we'd love to have you join if you're listening, because we had a few views. Our last show wasn't as busy, but our first one got quite a few views. So even know that it might have just been me replaying it, but I don't think so.
I listened to it twice, so I know I was at least 2 of them.
All right, buddy. Well, this is about 2 hours, and I'm tired. You're tired. It's been a long weekend. I'm glad that we're doing this, though, man. I fucking love talking wrestling with you, and I'll see you next time, I guess. Sure, I'll talk to you before then, though.
Yeah, for sure, brother.
All right, later, buddy.
All right, later.